Welcome back, everybody. Broadcasting from the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island. And, of course, we're up here along with everybody else in the universe for the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce's Policy Conference. And you run into everybody who's in the middle of everything. And this is a good example. Our next guest, Todd Gustafson from Kinexus. And you know what, Todd? It's always, I know I do this almost every time. Tell everybody what Kinexus is.
We're a nonprofit that does economic, workforce, and community development. We're headquartered in Benton Harbor, but we have services across the state. So
let's talk a little bit about Benton Harbor in particular. How is Benton Harbor doing? They've had some challenges.
Yeah, I think they've got some challenges like any other urban areas, but there's been some progress, and most importantly, I think you have a group of the business sector, the nonprofit sector, and others that have come together to say, how can we continue to move the community forward? And so without that, I'd be maybe more worried.
Yeah, good. So tell me who you work with. Who's your normal client that you go help?
Yeah, we've got two. So one is our businesses, right? Mostly mid to small size businesses, and then we also help people. So we probably serve around a couple thousand businesses a year with every size and sector, and then about 20 to 25,000 people, which include youth as well. We do a lot of youth programming.
Well, you know, you do a lot of cross-sector too, and a lot of blending, and I say that because I run into you on boards I'm on because you're on them. Yeah. And I'm on a lot of boards,
You're
and
the
I know.
Best board member, though. I want to be like you.
When you grow up,
yeah. When I grow up and lose my hair.
Yeah, there you go. Good. Well, that happened anytime. It's a real nice convenience.
But we need people like you, Chris, that are engaged because we learn from you and the experience that you have, especially for those of us that do this work. If we don't have people that are engaged like you, then we can't be as impactful. I mean,
I'm going to give you the mic. I want you to run this. Okay, so where are you going next? Where does Kinexus go? I mean, the challenges are always out there. It's kind of like a food bank.
Yeah.
You never have enough food.
No,
right?
Exactly. I think it depends on the economy and where the economy goes, right? So we have to be able to pivot. So in this case, employers cannot find talent. That's nothing new. And so what can we do to help them find talent? Can we work with them to be more attractive and be an employer of choice? Or do they need more recruitment strategies that are different? So that's really what we're engaged in now. And we're also trying to find the people. Where do the people go? Yeah. And trying to get them back off the bench. Everybody talks about the unemployment rate being really important, which it is, but the more important measure to look at is the workforce participation rate. And that has, as we all know, went down post-COVID. It's starting to creep back up. But as we see, the women, especially people, minorities, are starting to come back off the bench, but we need them engaged because there are opportunities. There are more job openings than there are people.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely. Well, and a lot of it's arithmetic. I mean, the baby boomers left a void, let's face it, as they dropped out of the workforce, you know.
Yeah, that group, I probably would have retired too at that point.
Little too amorous of 4 years after the war there that had high impact for a long time.
Yes.
So let's talk about what is right now by our Michigan Future Business Index the number 2 challenge, and that's inflation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're seeing that. I mean, we're seeing it across the board, and the one that everyone is easily identifies with is gas. And in our area, in our headquartered region, right, Southwest Michigan, there's a lot of rural communities, and people have to commute into the bigger cities to work, and that gets pretty expensive over time. And so when you're paying more money to go to work than you're actually getting paid, that's a problem. So kind of navigating that has been a challenge, I think, for a number of communities and people.
All right, so I'm president of AARP, and one of the programs I started was.
Aren't you too young to be on that?
Did you get that? Did everybody get that? One of the programs I started was Experience for Hire.
Yeah.
And that is kind of bringing people back in the workforce on a part-time basis, etc. A lot of this is going to go to, and I know you're out there preaching this, the employer has to look at this employee a whole lot differently.
Yes. So here's why that's a really good opportunity for people that want to come back into the labor force. Is it's not like you thought it was, where, well, I've got to work 8 to 5 or have to work these shift work. No, right now the employees have all the advantage. So if you can come in and say, here, I can give a couple hours here and there, you're more than likely going to get hired.
Yeah.
Right? So it's more about what your needs are than the employers are. And I've had that conversation over and over with employers who are having to shift.
Yeah. Well, and they're still not totally over that. If they're not here working where I can see them, I'm not sure they're working. There are still some of those.
Let me just say, I mean, that's been a challenge for us too, but we were early adopters even pre-COVID. And so that helped us gain some experience. But if we didn't have that experience, it would be much more difficult to do. And that's the way the work is going to go in the future. You got to have some type of hybrid. You're never going to build the relationships unless you're in person, but you have to also be flexible enough to allow people to do remote work where you're not going to see them all the time.
Well, there's a couple other things that kind of come to mind, and that is that the threshold of getting into a business is way low now.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are making their own jobs by starting small businesses over the internet, right?
Yeah, we've seen, as you and I both know from our work with all the small businesses, we've seen a significant uptick in that. I'm excited. I think Michigan is an innovation state, right? Back to Ford of state, the state of Ford, and I think we'll see more of those. My hope is that they survive. The survival rate is tough, so they need organizations like many of the boards that you're on to help them with technical assistance and coaching and access to capital. And so you need a strong ecosystem out there of help, and I think Michigan's got a pretty decent one.
We're hacking around when we're trying to get in the right spot. So you're absolutely right. Childcare is another big issue too. You got to make some amends there and say, bring them to work or whatever.
Childcare, housing, transportation. I mean, some of the food insecurity. It's some of the same issues that we've all been dealing with. It's exacerbated because of the market right now, the inflation, as you mentioned. But
yeah, absolutely. And wage inflation, of course, hot on the heels, too, is another challenge. Todd, it's always good to spend time with you. Keep up the good work. We need people like you.
I mean, we need people like you. Thanks, Chris, for the opportunity.
We're needed. I love that. Todd Gustafson, CEO of Kinexus. I'm Chris Holman, and we're coming to you. I'm sorry. You got me all confused. Huh? We're coming to you from the Grand Hotel because we are here up for the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce's Policy Conference. We'll be right back with more. I'm Chris Holman on the Michigan Business Network.